Hello, everybody. It's
What's
Eduardo
up?
Valentine and
Scott
Scott
DiGregorio.
and we're in Fort Myers.
What's
today.
up, Fort Myers?
Because you've been complaining for the past couple of weeks, so
Listen, I always need something to bitch
I
about.
figure I would come here and now what are you gonna say now?
First thing I'm gonna do
problem
is
now?
fix my damn lighting. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see me
My
better
lighting
now.
is always
Yeah,
messed
your
up.
lighting
Let's try
sucks.
this.
But
There you go.
so
Alright.
so look, I want to go in a different direction.
Okay.
We always talk about products and scenarios and stuff like that. I want to kind of go bigger picture now, man. I want to talk about kind of your picture or your feelings on this expansion of mortgage products. I mean, I've lived through the rise and the fall
Okay.
tied to this, and I think it'd just be interesting to to hear your take on it, not having the background experience that I have. So you started in the business with 4 products.
Right.
In a relatively short period of time, we have
In a very, very short period of time.
we have an incredible array of products.
Because there have been 4 products for a while. I mean, I started with 4 products, like you say, 4
Sure.
or 5, whatever. And they stayed like that for a while.
It's been like that for 10 years.
And then really in the past, it feels like in the past couple of months, and I know that these bank statement loans and things like that have been in for a little longer than that, but I feel like it's more accepted now. I feel like it's becoming more
Yes.
normalized. I feel like I can qualify more people in these loans. And I actually, and it's a mindset thing if you want.
Of course it is.
But I actually see them as a viable option for my clients now, where last year, even though it existed, I didn't see them as a viable option for my clients.
What's your take though? I mean, do there's talk out there of how this is going to lead to the bad of this.
Sure.
Okay?
Big picture.
Yeah, the big picture thing.
So,
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson that now can get into a home ownership situation, fine.
Sure.
But bigger picture.
So, first of all, I have a lot of empathy, I guess. Like, I can totally relate with the consumer hearing this and thinking, 2008 all over again.
And look,
2006 all
bro,
over
consumer, financial professional, or mortgage professional, realtor, like all of it.
I just got off the phone with a realtor right now, on my way here, and I was saying like, hey, I don't know if you looked at my videos or whatever, but there's a lot of weird products coming in that now we can put a lot of people in houses. And his first couple of things that he said was, I know it's scary,
Yes.
and I hear that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Now
That is the common consensus.
that is the common consensus. And look, there's a couple things. It behooves us to say it's not scary. I understand that. We're in the mortgage industry. We want people to get mortgages, right? Or that's what people will assume. But honestly, man, the concept of it might be scary. The reality of it is the buyers that I'm able to qualify based on bank statement loans, based on no income documents, or based on all these things, are extremely qualified buyers.
You see, but here's where my you call me old a lot, right?
Yes, you are.
So here's my perspective. So I got into the business, whatever, mid 90s, 94, 96, and when I got into the business, probably about 98, 99, we had a product mix similar to what we have now. Okay. Similar to you, when I first started, there were a couple of loan products.
Right.
Okay. And FHA loans back in the day were a nightmare to get done. So I mean, we really lived in a conforming conventional world.
Sure.
And then we launched, we being the mortgage industry, we launched Alt-A. And Alt-A is loans that just barely missed the guidelines.
Okay.
And that was the conversation. Hey, these are still really qualified and blah, blah, blah. What it turned into was just sheer ass stupidity. So the fear I think the people have is not what it is today, but what might it be a year, 2, 3 from now.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, not having having the perspective I have.
Exactly. We're coming from 2 different positions. The reality of it, the concept of it is scary. I understand. But if I actually look at the facts today, when I look at the type of borrowers that I'm having today, they're, like I said, extremely qualified borrowers. Now, can this turn into something that's a problem? Sure it can. It will be naive to say, look, that's never going to happen again. I don't see how the regulators are not going to pay attention to this. that would be naive, right? Things can happen. People are making money. People are getting into homes that can be abused. However, man, honestly, again, going back to this, and I know I keep repeating this, but the clients that I've been able to qualify are extremely qualified clients that I know will make the payments. So I think the responsibility will fall not only on the products themselves, but also on us.
Well, look, and that'll always be the case. And here's, so coming from a position of having lived through this before, here's my thoughts on it. And first off, who the heck knows, right?
Sure.
I mean, whatever. But when the product explosion happened in the early 2000s, we lived in a non-regulated world.
Okay.
Just completely non-regulated. It wasn't a thing people thought about. I think that there's enough of a spotlight on it today, A, and B, there's enough regulations in play. I mean, ability to repay. I mean, for those of you that don't know, ability to repay is a pretty sweeping regulation that passed that basically said you cannot make a mortgage to somebody who has not demonstrated their ability to repay the loan. There's also some provisions with Dodd-Frank and something called Safe Harbor where...
Right. Sorry to interrupt, but the question is...
That was rude.
Yeah. the people see this as a snowball effect.
Yes.
And then the fact that these new products are coming could lead to those type of regulations not being in place. And the fear of that, I understand it conceptually. I also feel like even for the past 10 years, people have found ways to do mortgage fraud. There's lenders out there and there's clients out there doing fraud. And I think that if we have this new world where we can put qualified clients into houses, just not necessarily what a qualified client was 2 years ago, but these are very qualified clients, and we also are responsible enough not only to do the right thing for the greater economy, but for the client itself, right? If we come from the place of, I'm not going to put you in a payment that you cannot afford, and nowadays, you being a branch manager in your branch, me being a branch manager in my branch, we have some risks.
We have financial liability.
We have financial liability to that.
Yeah.
And that plays a part on that responsibility.
And that didn't exist back in the day.
Right. So you write a bad loan. Okay, that's bad for the consumer, but that's also bad for you now.
It goes on my record.
Financially. And in your pocket, you feel it.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, we're a little protected. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think all of that's sensible. And I think, look, people that know me know that, strangely enough, I don't argue with most of them. I think most of the regulations, as frustrating as they are, I honestly think they're good.
Right.
They drive me nuts. They cut my pay. The appraisal one drives me nuts regularly. Blah, blah, blah. Big picture, I think it's good. And in this context, I think it's good because I think if you leave the banking and investment world to their own devices, I think we'll be back to 105% no income, no asset, no credit loans. Because there's profit there. Big profit because they could charge higher rates and all that crap. So I think the fact that the politics are untouched by that, okay? Both sides of the fence, I don't want to get into politics, but I think the fact that Washington is separated from that is a good thing.
Strong enough.
I think it's a good thing. Now, I am seeing, what happened last time. What happened last time was these non-conforming lenders came out, and then what happened is the agency guidelines started to loosen, or Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. People don't know about this, but conventional Fannie Freddie loans were no income, no asset. Okay, we used to run it through AUS, and we used to get what they called a streamlined accept, which was no income, no asset. So, everybody blamed all these subprime lenders. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were the bulk of my no-doc loans.
Right.
So, and we're starting to see just in the last week or two, agencies now allow a second home to be rented. Right. And agencies now do asset depletion over 240 months instead of 360.
Right.
And granted, these are small changes, but it is a sign of agency guidelines loosening up to try to stay competitive. And we just launched a whole new product suite this week with lots and lots. It is.
Very exciting.
It is exciting. Here's my take on it. Yes, it's going to bite us in the ass again. I don't think 2008 bite.
Okay.
But I do see this happening, and this may offend some people, but it's true, man. I think it's healthy. I think that's part of the cycle.
Sure.
You know, and this is where, you know, I know you and I focus so much on educating our clients, but nobody liked talking about this, man. I was at a conference, a company conference, the first one, back in 09, 10, for primary that I went to, and they had the vice president of Fannie Mae there, and they asked him, they go, you know, why are you doing this to us? And his answer was, "There's too many of you guys to regulate. We're trying to close the doors on you." And then
Which
another
is a fair answer.
It's a fair answer, man, and accurate. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, again, I agree with that. But the other piece of it was, man, you know what's bad when you're doing something live and you lose your train of thought and you just can't catch it. It's out there. It's part of age.
Is that what's happening to you?
It's part of age, yeah. But
No, we can't edit this.
no, we can't edit it.
Okay.
It's live. So, but anyway, I think that I think the product development is going to continue to happen. I think it's going to bite people in the ass. I remember what I was going to say. The other question that was asked him was, how come nobody's blaming the consumers? And basically what he said was, it's political suicide to do this. But I've long been a proponent of the fact that the consumers played a big role, man. I'm sorry. I had some idiot sue me because I wouldn't put him in a $400,000 mortgage when he worked at a tire repair place. And I think at the end of the day, I understand regulation. I have a problem with it, but I'm sorry, man. I am responsible to make viable financial decisions for myself and my family and my future. And I believe it's America, and if I make bad decisions, which I've made plenty of in the past, I suffered the repercussions of those choices. And the major problem with '05 and the collapse was everybody thought real estate was a get-rich-quick scheme. And I really hope that people's memories are strong enough to stop that from happening again.
Right. And look, that's true. And sure, the consumer. But I also think the approach that we're taking, and I think what's making most consumers nowadays, make a decision, whether it's to buy or to sell, any financial decision. And quite frankly, my generation is very research based. They really like to learn about what they're getting into. And I mean, that's why we do these lives. That's why we do the videos that we do, the video libraries that we have.
Starting the podcast,
everything that we're doing is just empowering people through that education and helping them make that decision. Because I also think that even though the consumer, and a lot of consumers are to blame, it's also, I think the way that this generation and the way that the after crash have made the consumer mind buy or make decisions it's different. I think the consumer has changed in the way
That's a good point.
they get to the yes, or they get to accepting things. I have a lot of clients that they don't know a lot about mortgages, but the first thing they ask is like, hey, is this rate ever going to change?
Right.
Is my payment going to change? Like, they're asking those questions that, again, I wasn't there before, but I assume wasn't in the top of their priority to ask.
Look, the top of the priority was, can you get me the house and how quickly before the seller raises the price on me? All right, so that's interesting. So I want to switch gears a little bit, man. Let's, you know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, kind of work-life balance, man. You know, you and I are in different stages there, age difference and all that, but I'm in an interesting phase now, man. So as you know, and for those who watching, my eldest daughter Savannah is almost 18. My middle daughter Layla just turned 16, and my son's 13. And I'm at a stage of life now where I'm finding myself working more than I've worked for a lot of years because when I go home, I gotta kind of claw and fight my way to get some time with my kids, man. You know, they're teenagers. They're doing their thing. Layla now has her license. The girl's never home. Savannah's getting ready to go away to college. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. What is what's going on with you know, with me? I mean, I would argue, less work-life balance now that I've had. This became a solo Facebook Live. It's weird. I don't quite know what's going on. Go ahead. Your phone's not charged.
You got it.
But anyway, it's, you know, I was talking to my son about it the other day, man. He asked a question about, you know, Dad, you've been working a lot lately. What's up? And you know, I told him, I go, dude, I don't have kind of you to hang out with anymore. You know, like he's playing X, like everybody's just doing their thing. we're launching so much. We have so much going on. What's your view on this whole work-life balancing? How are you managing that? Is it a problem?
Well,
Or is it something just the ends justify the means? And
look, I'm in a different stage.
right.
I'm in a completely different stage. My daughters are, I have a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I've been working my butt off. I've been working more than I've worked before. I'm trying to build something here. I love what I'm doing. And
Me too. It makes it hard, right?
It makes it
really
very hard
does.
because I love my family. I love being home. I also love helping people here. I love the problems that come with it. I love the struggles. My wife tells me you're always stressed, and my answer is always I'm happy stressed. And she doesn't really get that, but it's like it's this constant struggle, but it's filled with like happiness.
It's a see. I don't look at it as stress. I look at it as like I'm in a competitive environment.
Sure, call it what you will, but it's
Same
that
crap.
pressure. But I'm happy in that pressure. So when it comes to the life balance, I heard something that actually Jen Duplessis says, and she said, "Forget about balance. I am 100% where I am," and I feel like that's been my approach, and that's been maybe it's just the way to just tell myself like that the
Like
fact
that's
that
how you justify
that's
it?
how I justify it. But man, the fact that I'm working so much, and the fact that I'm building something, and the fact that I'm happy constantly working in what I like to do, I feel like it just makes me more present when I'm with my kids. And it allows me to do things like I'm gonna go to France to see my parents for 3 weeks, where before I couldn't do that. And I'm gonna fly them there, and when I'm there, I'm gonna be with them, with my parents, with my whole family
100%.
together. And I'm able to do that because I'm working my tail off here.
Yeah, and look, on the weekends, and granted we take calls and whatnot, but on the weekends, crap, I can't get you on the phone because you're with your family. So,
Right.
It's one of the things I told Jay when he asked when I had that conversation with, I go, dude, you got to understand. I come home, everybody's doing their thing. I sit on the couch. 12 minutes later, I'm bored, and when I'm bored, I'd rather work.
Sure.
Like I'd rather work than binge watch freaking Law and Order.
And then you know what's fun too? What's been funny too? Before starting this, my wife, which Marisa, I love you, she would be the one to put the kids down to bed every night. Now I always put my youngest daughter to bed. That's non-negotiable. I put her to bed, and then after I put her to bed, I walk into my other daughter's room. Where before I wasn't doing that. So it's almost like the
Why?
fact that I don't know, but the fact that I'm so busy makes me
Are you cherishing your time more?
yeah,
Like, is
it
this
makes
less
me
of it?
try to be more present for those moments. So it's nice, man. And Marisa, she was a full-time teacher, and now she's really being able to be with the kids.
to be home.
So it's look, I don't think a lot of people will call it balance because it's not 50-50, but whatever percentage I'm spending with them and I'm spending here, it's just working great.
You see, and here's my piece on that, man. And I think about this a lot. Like, I look at people, and and this is a Gary Vee thing, but if people are happy, God bless them.
Sure.
I don't judge. There's a piece of me that looks at somebody. I got a buddy, a guy who worked here, and he came to me. He's like, "Look, man, I pressure wash. I go home. I'm done thinking about it.
Sure.
I hate loan officer. Like, I hate being a loan officer. I can't sleep at night. The stress. Blah blah blah." I'm not like. There's a piece of me that's envious of somebody that could go to work, have a type of job.
Turn it off.
Yeah, have a type of job. 5 o'clock comes. They punch their clock. They come home and it's gone.
Sure.
It's cool. I'm just not wired that way.
Right.
Like, and if I try to live that life, I'm gonna be freaking miserable.
Right.
So it's not about I want more money, I want more business, I want more blank, fill in the blank. It's just how I'm wired. Like, I was hustling candy in 6th grade.
Right.
I mean, I literally been working since I'm 10, 11 years old.
Right.
Like, I'm wired now. Nature nurture. Am I wired that way because of that period of like I went through some poor ass times as a kid. Did that? Nature nurture. I don't know, but who cares?
Right.
I'm not happy getting home at 5 o'clock and watching TV. And I go home, I cook dinner, I spend plenty of time with my family. I don't know, man. So look, I think the whole work-life balance thing has become a bit of a keyword and like a movement.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. If you're happy, fine. Now, if my work life was destroying my family, then I wouldn't be happy.
And that's the other thing. It's if you're happy, and again, this is 100% like everything, but the 3 or 4 or 5 key people in your life are happy with that, it's all good.
Yeah. Everything else is
Unless my wife comes to me and tells me, look, Ed, something has to change, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's a balance, man, between the lifestyle you live and in our profession, you have that
Sure.
luxury. Who is somebody else to draw that line for me or for you?
Right.
You know?
Right. So yeah, that's something that's been it's all over social media now too. And look, man, I like what I do. I like making, obviously when they're positive phone calls, they're better than when they're negative. But I like getting an appraisal that's like right on the money or something, and call somebody at 7 p.m. before they go to sleep, because they've been so worried. They've been so worried about this transaction. We do a bunch of them a month, but this is the one time they're buying this house, even if it's their 10th house. Still, it's only 10.
Matters.
Matters, it's
man.
such a big thing. So stressed. There's so much into it. Their life is put in a pause for the next 30 days because we don't want them to touch credit or anything like that. And to be able to get on the phone at 8 p.m. or whatever and say, hey, we got the appraisal. We're all in. Everything's good. We're gonna be able to close in the next week. Like, that's so nice, man.
Yeah, cool.
And this allows me to give good news constantly. That a day doesn't go by where I'm not making somebody's day. And that's so cool.
Good news that lingers.
Oh yeah.
Good news that lingers, man.
And life changing.
And this is the longevity that I have. Like, it's so cool when I talk to clients. I just refinanced a woman named Barbara. What's up, Barbara? If you're watching, you know who you are. We should pull together in your house. I did her original loan 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And she threw a quote at me. I just reclosed her. I refined her. She threw a quote at me that I told her 20 years ago about money.
Yeah.
That is still one of her principles now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. How could you not want to just do a ton of that, man?
And like I said, dude, a day doesn't go by without me giving good news to somebody.
Neat stuff. All right, I think we got to wrap it up, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been long, but I've enjoyed chatting with you. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed watching. And
yeah, look, realtors watching out there or consumers, if you have any, forget about the questions. If you have any opinions about all these new products, look, whether we're 100% wrong or whether you think that everything's going to be great or whatever, let us know, because I think it's interesting. I think it's a changing world right now. The whole real estate industry and the whole mortgage industry is rapidly changing. And we're seeing a lot of mortgage companies going down. Yeah. We see a lot of new products coming in. It's exciting. It's changing.
Some realtors blowing it up, others really scared.
Others very strong, good producers are like really dropping. And it's super exciting to watch. In my opinion, it's super exciting to implement all these things. And more importantly, I love to hear the opinions of people because a lot of people have very strong opinions about this. And it's interesting, man. Yeah. It's interesting to hear this is the worst thing that's going to happen. I shouldn't buy anything. I should just, stop for the next 8 years. Yeah. And there's other people that say this is the time where we need to leverage the money as much as possible. And I think it's just interesting, man. Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. All right, guys.
Well, we'll see you next week.
Next week, we're going to be in Fort Myers again.
What's up, Fort Myers? By the way, Fort Myers office, much nicer. Come on, give me props.
Not
All right, see you guys.
Bye.